Good evening, everyone. This is Amy St. Ange. I will call the Tuesday, December 21st, 2021 meeting to order. It is 7:01 p.m. All three selectmen are present and members of the public. So we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we do have executive session on the agenda tonight. And our attorney only has until 7:30. So out of an abundance of caution to make sure that we have time to conduct executive session, I would make a motion that we move agenda item 7, executive session, Wyndham North Properties, up to agenda item 3. So we could switch that around. I make that motion. Oh, sorry, 2A. Thank you. Make that motion.
A second.
Okay, we have a motion. Ken Beausoleil has seconded. All in favor of moving this agenda item to the top, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. So at this time, everybody who's in, because our attorney is zooming in, everybody who is in the virtual audience, I am going to have to move you into the waiting room. So that'll be a process. We will move into executive session in another room here in Town Hall. And then I'll bring you back in as soon as we're out of executive session. So just give me a minute to do that, please.
All right, just to go on the record. Motion to go into executive session
Oh,
with the Board of Selectmen at 7:03.
Okay, Ken has made a motion to go into executive session at 7:03, and I will second that. All in favor of moving into executive session at 7:03, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Let me finish putting everybody in the waiting room. I will bring you all back in as soon as we're done. First send these off. My laptop in there.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Ken.
Excellent.
I'm just putting everybody, there's quite a few people in the audience, so I got to put them all into the waiting room.
Understood.
All right. We will be right back. Change speakers now. Okay. Ken, can you hear us?
I can.
Okay, great. All right, so I have Suzanne Mikowski, Ken Beausoleil, and myself here to talk about Wyndham North Properties. So Ken and I had, because Attorney Slater and I had a conversation earlier today. Just make it clear it's only us.
Yeah, please call me Ken. We're all friends here.
Okay, well, there's two Kens, so I wanted to
Yeah,
differentiate.
good point. Good point. Good point.
Centerville Bank, you know, Ken, we've been going round and
Yeah, have
round
they
with
been
this.
in contact with you since our meeting?
They wanted to provide information that they didn't share during the public meeting. FDIC audit goes to them. And banks cannot own properties they're not supposed to own property. They're supposed to dispose of property. This is the information they gave me within 5 years. Mike, or however you say his last name, is of course still interested. they are planning to put 2.5 million in repair and mitigation into escrow. Um, Their initial plan was to do a system that would actually lower the water level. Mike and his engineer, David Held, they don't want that. They want it to maintain the height that it's been. So Mike's engineer and Centerville Bank's engineer had conversations, and they're all in agreement that this could still work. Bank's still in agreement of putting 2.5. This is a twist. Putnam Bank never offered to repair the dam. So 2.5 million, that's a bit. So Ken Slater and I had a conversation, and can I just turn it over to Ken? Because what he said I thought was really smart. It was something that I hadn't done yet. And I think that will probably keep executive session pretty quick, because we'll need to get more information from the bank. So I'm going to just turn it back over to Ken so he can share with you what he shared with me.
Sure.
You're
My
welcome.
my suggestion is that the concept that they're suggesting to Amy is that they need to clear title, so to speak. And any property, when you go buy a house, many times the owner of the house has a mortgage, and you have good title. It's just subject to a mortgage, and then when you transfer title, to pay off the mortgage, and that gets released. In this case, I mean, this is substantially different than what you're dealing with before, when they were asking the town to just release the lien. There's a if they're putting up that kind of money, the bank might be upside down, and the town giving some or all of its interest in that lien up might really be necessary to get the deal done. On the other hand, with the bank doing the work on the dam, maybe the buyer's going to buy it for a substantial number that's going to net money for the bank if it were free and clear of the lien. So my suggestion is, in order for you folks to really be in a position to recognize that's in the best interest of the town, to give up some or all of the lien, would be to understand what the deal is with the buyer. And it could even be as simple as a memorandum of understanding. It could come back to the board, and the town could join a memorandum of understanding or a contract that says that upon sale to that developer for that amount of money, then the town would release, at closing, will release the lien, or the town will release the lien for $100,000, or whatever makes sense. But without knowing what the deal is, to just say, okay, thank you very much, you're fixing the dam, that's fantastic, we'll release all your interest. If in fact the bank's going to end up netting a whole bunch of money, that might not make any sense. If I'm a betting man, they're upside down, and they're not going to be making money, and they need the help from the town to be able to make the deal work. But without that knowledge, I think it's more difficult for you to be comfortable explaining to people why it was the right move. I mean, the good news, as you remember, this isn't real money in the sense that it's not money that taxpayers of the town of Thompson put in. It was money that came from the state, but you now have, you still have the value of that lien. So, giving it up for nothing may not make any sense if the bank's doing well. So my suggestion was for Amy to go back to the bank and find out what the deal is, and that the Board of Selectmen might very well be interested in doing a deal that might be a full release, it might be a partial release. The lien would get released, but maybe for no consideration back to the town, or maybe for consideration, but you can't really make that decision until you understand what the deal is going to be with the developer.
For credibility's sake, amongst,
Do we have any
The
idea what they're gonna
taxpayers.
do with the property? What's the developer?
it's always been, I don't know what Mike
Well,
is, I'm assuming housing
The 50 acres was supposed to be
for his.
industrial and do a 300 by 300 solar
Solar
field, which
field.
we discussed, Ken, if you remember, over the last few years.
Yep.
So that was gonna be
Is
behind.
this a
be behind the
for-profit?
Quinn- Well, the developer
the
is.
developer,
For profit,
Quinn
so it's
Church
not a
House.
nonprofit, so we
Mhm.
would essentially have a dam that passes inspection, that's a plus, and we would also have taxes coming in from the developer in the future. We
Yep.
haven't invested any money into this.
Right.
You know, I don't want to be greedy as a town and say, we want money back. Even if you know, if we're not gonna benefit in other ways.
And I think
If
in
it were
the
a
past,
nonprofit that was looking at it the town was not gonna receive anything back in taxes, then I wouldn't
Mhm. And
be
I
more
think
inclined to put a little pressure on the bank for a little of
And-
the.
in the past, I will say that Steve Herbert, when we sat on the board together, was very adamant that he didn't want to give into the bank. But in truth, at that time, Putnam Bank wasn't offering anything. They were just saying, hey, release the lien. And in this case, I'm more inclined to work with a bank who's actually willing to see that the dam needs repair. It's in poor condition under deep standards. And I'm willing to work with them, but I like Ken's point of view that we need credibility if we're going to even make, cut it down to 100,000 for over the 384 or whatever we decide to do.
I'd be inclined to go with that if we're only talking about the 100.
Right.
But
Okay,
the other 49 acres is a separate parcel.
so that will be
The
different.
bank is upside down in that too, but that,
Right,
we could have gotten 96,000
right.
for that to release that. And we didn't go in that direction.
Right.
So
So we're only, in your mind, we're only talking 152 acres.
that's the
okay.
parcel I would be talking about and go from there. You
Do we
I'd
know what the investor's looking at? Are they looking at both parcels or just one parcel?
Actually, they were looking at both
Both.
parcels to do actually some form of a solar field as well over there, as well as some housing.
What he initially wanted was the Quinn Shirt Shop, which was sort of on pause now because he wanted that to be completely sustained by the solar,
Yes,
if I remember correctly.
that was the thing that was 3 years ago, 4 years ago. We didn't talk about that.
The bank is willing to put 2.5 million in.
I've never heard that before. Yes, for
But
the
the-
repair of the dam.
But if they get free and clear, do they get, if I remember something correctly, they have access to grants or whatever to fix the dam as well?
Is that the case? I think
There
they
was-
would
I
have to
think you're right.
partner
I
with
think
the
there was
town.
Something about that it makes them more. Oh, maybe that was.
But
I
they
thought
would
I
still
read
have to
something
partner
about
with
that.
the town, though. Wouldn't they have to partner with the town?
Usually any grants do get partnered. with the
Right.
town.
Right.
Right.
Depends.
And currently, we're deep in the brownfield grant for Gumper. So.
I will take a little page out of Steve Herbert's book,
Mhm.
Wyndham Bank was upside down in it. They didn't realize it was a first, we were the first lien. Shame on them. They've hoodwinked this bank.
Pretty much,
And again, I don't have much sympathy for the bank
No.
because they
No, I
should have
don't
known,
either.
right.
I
And,
agree.
okay?
and the truth
So-
is, they don't give us breaks.
They're not.
So that weighs
Uh,
heavy.
So discussing 152, I had proposed before, we've got Pond Lily up there. There's different things that can enhance the recreation of the town.
Yep.
Maintaining the water level as it currently is very
It's
important.
huge.
Ken may not be aware of it, but we do have a 50-foot conservation easement along the west bank, the length of the property. And I think there's something about the water usage as well. You have to go back
The
through the paperwork,
Water rights, I think, go to 929.
but it may be the land underneath.
Okay.
So I'm not sure about that. We'd have to go back and look at that. But if they were to lower the dam, what does that do to the conservation easement? That throws that all out of whack, just in my mind quickly, because you got where it currently is and then going, say, reducing it back to a river. That eventually could all be buildable for, development of the stuff. So there's a lot of open questions unanswered. Am I willing to talk with them and see what they're gonna do? Of course. It's in the best interest of everybody.
So is the plan then to take Ken's advice and get further details? Maybe the bank meets, can the bank meet with us in executive session or no?
Sure.
Yeah,
Yes,
they could, right?
This is
these are-
land
it's a
transaction. This
negotiation.
is,
It's
this.
negotiation.
Well, I would really, I would put this almost better under, it can fall under both. You can go in an executive session to be negotiating for acquisition of land, but you're not, they're proposing to give up the interest in that, but you also have a lien that you theoretically could foreclose on. So the discussion about, potential litigation, even though it sounds odd because you're not, there is no existing litigation. That I think we can discuss how to handle that, the amount that's done and whether or not, how you want to do it, under executive session, under that principle as well.
I mean, theoretically, we could go into foreclosure on the 50 acres, the 49.
Right.
There's a lot of moving pieces. The bank is gonna have to, I mean, they're on the hook for the liability no matter what.
The-
Get this done, but,
The 384, what else does that extend to then? 929, that also fall at 929?
929, 915,
Is that on
and-
630 too? No,
no,
okay,
and where the water towers.
okay.
Now, you also have to remember, we're second on the lien on 929, 915, and the water tower.
Okay,
We're second on the lien because Wells Fargo is first, or whoever currently owns that note. So at some point in time, we're gonna be looking at releasing that lien to the developer to do the mill.
right, right,
So,
right.
so we have to look at that as
That was
well.
in the back of my mind.
And that's always been in the back of mind. So when we could get something from, the 50 acres, just to release that, it was a help for us, but it never materialized.
Right.
We won't go into that. It's water over the dam at this point.
Right,
But we would have gotten something back that we could have put back into small cities and, used it in the town.
it's hard to release liens on one and not the other. Kind of
You
thing.
can release
I
yeah.
know, it's just if you do for one, you do for the others.
Well, for the
So-
developer, that's gonna be part of the concession for the town, so that doesn't become a 630 Riverside Drive,
Right.
because that's the potential there.
Mhm. Thoughts, Suzanne?
How long ago did this loan go in default? When did we put the lien on this property?
Oh, late,
Long.
sometimes in the 90s.
In the 90s. And so in the 90s, that property is just sat idle with no, there's no industry, there's no, the taxes are what the taxes are, and we're not gaining any revenue or business or anything. And my thought is if we are releasing on both parcels of land, we are at least potentially going to
Gain something.
we're gonna gain no matter what.
On 929, definitely with the housing and everything. But even,
But
You know,
the
On
49
152.
acres, that's where they're looking to put a solar field,
Right.
which is gonna
that may
generate,
have sunsetted already. For their,
I guess it depends on what their potential, what they're looking to develop it or do with it.
it was supposed to be
But
industrial.
holding,
and
holding this,
So we
holding
leave
this land
49.
hostage does not benefit the
We
town.
leave 49, that'll be another conversation, and we discuss 152 for now, the
Yep.
152
was-
acres.
That's
I
what
would like to
do.
know what they want the 49
Yep.
for. If it's
Oh,
for
oh.
solar, if they want to develop it, then I think that we should look at releasing it on both of them. Because in the long run, the big picture is
We get
if they're
something.
going to, yeah, this is what we need in this town.
Well, not
is
only
to-
that, but Quinn's Shirt Shop will be finished.
So you're right. There's a lot of moving parts that we need to have a little bit more information in, but we need to look at the big picture too. Holding it
I mean,
hostage is not gonna
if-
be.
If the developer is Mike Licamelli, which is Quinn Shirt Shop, then, obviously we're open to conversation with them like we were before. Trying to put that to bed when they divided up the 200 acres into $96,000 increments, 50,000 per acre. But the bank's problem is the 152, definitely. But there's a lot of unknowns and a lot of moving parts, and having more conversation on this. Yeah, we're open to do what's best for the town and to do what's best to protect everybody downstream.
Is the bank waiting for an answer from us?
Well, they
Like, are they
will,
waiting
but
to be able to move forward? Is that holding up anything on their end?
they
with-
have 90 days to get back to FDIC. So we could broach it in, let's get some information from them. We could invite them into executive session in January.
Sure.
and maybe on the
Let's
January
not,
18th
let's not
meeting.
sit on this.
No, I definitely, I
Because we
want
don't
to
wanna
make a
hold them
decision.
up.
Right, I definitely want to make a decision. I'm thrilled. 2.5 million put into
We're gonna get a
dam.
fixed dam and we're
Yeah.
gonna possibly have more industry in this town. Potentially, right?
Well, not industry,
Not industry, but housing.
and
which-
the solar field would
But
be,
it's for profit,
right,
so they're
Yes.
gonna pay taxes on housing. That's,
If that's what their intent is.
Yeah.
and we'll find out.
There's also the public health and safety element where you get the dam taken care of sooner rather than later.
exactly.
So,
Which Ken's right, I mean, maybe they're gonna have to do that in any event, but that's why we want, some more information on what the deal looks like.
right, okay, so we'll get that. We'll plan executive session. Ken, would you come into executive session with us
Sure.
again? Okay. I think that would be good. I'm sure their attorney would
How
be
much is
representative.
how much is their attorneys talking with you, Ken?
Not at all. The first time it came up was with the correspondence that came into the first selectman's office, so I haven't heard from their attorney at all.
All right, very good.
All right.
So we'll leave executive session and no action will be taken and. everything is good. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Ken.
Thanks,
All right,
Ken.
folks, yeah, and just
Night.
indicate, I'm sure you will, but indicate in the minutes that I joined you in executive session.
Yes, sir.
Oh,
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Hey, have a
Yep,
good
Merry
holiday,
Christmas.
Ken.
Merry
Yeah, you too. Take
Christmas.
care, everybody. Merry Christmas. Bye-bye.
Gotta get everybody back into the meeting first. We'll take a second. Yes.
And void of any history right now.
So I gotta get this all plugged back in, sorry. Okay, let the record show that we came out of executive session at 7:23 PM. No action has been taken, Dottie. And,
Note that Ken Slater was.
and please note, Dottie, that Ken Slater, our attorney, town attorney, did enter the meeting with us. All right. So moving on to approval of minutes, I make a motion that we approve the Board of Selectmen meeting minutes from December 7th, 2021. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on these minutes? Hearing none, all in favor of approval of the minutes from December 7th, 2021, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion passes. Make a motion that we approve the Board of Selectmen special meeting minutes from December 15th, 2021.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on these minutes? Ken, did you find anything?
I'm good.
Okay, I was good too. So all in favor of approving the minutes from the Board of Selectmen special meeting on December 15th, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion passes. We have correspondence from Teague, a thank you for the holiday food donations, a letter from the Thompson Taxpayer Alliance, and the Department of Emergency Services and Public Protection monthly report. Is there any other correspondence from the selectmen that you've received?
I didn't get anything.
All right. All right, moving on to agenda item 5, selectmen comments. Selectmen comments at this time.
I do have a comment, question, suggestion, however you want to put it.
Yep.
I would like to have updates on each agenda on the EMS progress with the
Okay.
negotiations, and I would also like to recommend two individuals to help participate with
Mhm.
that, which would be Crystal Simon and Brian Erickson.
Is something we should add to an agenda item under other business, maybe?
Have you started negotiating with,
We have not.
so,
You said Brian Erickson, right?
yes,
Was that with a Y?
I
B-R-Y?
believe it is.
Is that something we even have to? I mean, we could just appoint them. I
Exa-
should speak
think-
louder. We could just appoint them.
I don't know why you couldn't, because we
Right.
need representation.
Yeah,
Do we need to
absolutely.
add and, yeah.
I'm absolutely in favor of that.
No problem.
So I've
Okay.
made note of that.
The other thing is I would like to have updates from the Economic Development
Mhm.
Department on a regular basis. Could we
Yes.
get a list of what grants were written in the last 2 years?
Mhm.
And written and received? Written and not received? And what grants are being written now? I'd like to get an idea of what,
So this is beyond EDC. It encompasses the planning and development.
You're looking at all grants?
yes,
Yeah, absolutely.
Planner.
I'd like to see what direction they are going in and what their future with the grants. Can we have, can we have
Absolutely.
something once a month on
No, I
that?
like it.
Yeah, on the agenda?
Sure.
That's all I had.
Any other selectmen
Uh,
comments?
It's the holiday season. Wish everybody a happy holiday. Ultimately, stay safe with everything that's going on
Mhm.
and try and enjoy your families.
Right.
And we'll meet after the first of the year.
Sounds good. On the town side, Public Works is moving forward with preparation for winter. Most of their construction, most, if not all, their construction projects have stopped at this point due to the ground freeze and the asphalt plants being closed. So they are preparing for the winter. They are still short-staffed by 2 staff members. So that's going to make it a little bit difficult come snowplow season. Additionally, transfer station hours, it is important for the public to know that the transfer station is open regular hours on Christmas Eve. They will be closing at 12:30 on December 23rd. And this is of note for both of you selectmen. We are hosting a holiday luncheon at the library for the town employees, and I would very much like you both to attend if you can, at 1 o'clock on Thursday. So that's all I have at this time.
Probably something to mention.
Mhm.
I don't know how many people listening, that when they are out plowing, that the transfer station does not open till all the roads are open.
Correct.
And then they clean it up and get in, because you want to make the public safe. They can wait a couple extra hours to get their routine and bring their stuff to the transfer station, but roads are a first to get open and safely to the public. before
Excellent.
Transfer station is open.
Excellent point to make. Thank you, Ken. I think that's great. And it's very true. People are creatures of habit, and if it's their day to go to the transfer station, nothing's going to stop them, including snow. So, but yes, the public works, snow clearing is a priority. All right. Any other selectmen comments? Okay, we'll move on to agenda item 6, citizen comments. The floor is open to citizen comments. We do have a substantial number of individuals here in the gallery, so to speak, in person, and then we do have quite a substantial number of people in the virtual audience. So if you are here live, I do ask that you come close to the table so that the microphone can pick you up, so our recording secretary can hear you. And then additionally, if you are in the virtual audience, just raise your hand or unmute yourself or type in the chat box to let me know that you do want to speak. So the floor is open for public comment at this time. Okay, we have one gentleman coming up from the live audience. State your name and address, please.
Bill Warner from Bull Davis Road. First thing, I wanted to mention that we were hoping that you would read the Thompson Taxpayer Alliance letter into the record, because there are a lot of people concerned with the actions of the P&Z board lately. That's why we sent the letter. The second issue I want to talk to you about is, for those that don't know, I'm an electrical engineer. I've spent my life examining data, looking for problems in that. And very concerned with the information that we found out through the 2 audits of the library and the town hall. Now, I talked to Amy about this, but I haven't talked to the full board. But basically, the audit from the library showed that they hadn't counted at least 26 votes from that day that were in the auxiliary bed where the write-in candidates went. They also, once they did count those, all those ballots, they found they had an additional 49 votes for the write-in candidate for the P&Z alternate. So right there, we know there's about 50 votes at the library that weren't counted correctly. In the town hall, we looked at the ballots during the audit, and we found there were 39 ballots where write-in candidates were not given the votes that they were supposed to. There were actually 9 votes that people had voted for them. And that was done because they did not look at voter intent, which they're supposed to do when they hand count ballots. And if we extrapolate that to the other districts, there's another 100 votes right there. So that means in the town of Thompson, during the November election, about 150 of us fellow citizens had their votes disenfranchised, which is unheard of. That should never happen anywhere in Connecticut. Shouldn't happen anywhere in this country. The fact of the matter is, 150 voters were disenfranchised, and they were all people that did write-in vote. And if we look at the data, each of the write-in candidates got an additional at least 100 votes. So that means the person that was seated from the Republicans, Randolph Blackmere, didn't come in first. He actually came in 4th. So it actually affected a race in this town. But whether it affected a race or not, there's 150 of our citizens in our town that were disenfranchised because we didn't take the time to count their votes properly. Or we didn't even take the time to look to see if there were any votes in the auxiliary bench to count on election. So what I've done is I filed a complaint with the State Election Enforcement Commission. They're going to look into it. But in my research, I found we violated at least 4 state laws. And 2 of those carry the penalties of felony. So we have a big problem with our election officials in town, that they're not following their own handbooks that the state gave them, and they're actually breaking laws by not giving the right information to citizens when they go to vote. Because a lot of people went and asked to vote, and they asked questions about how do you do write-in candidates, and they said, oh, just fill in the information on the back page. Well, that was wrong information. And people that did that didn't get their votes counted. And I think that as a board, you should be aware of the fact. That's all.
Thank you. All right. So Dottie had asked, she couldn't hear your name. So I said William Warner versus Bill Warner. Is that okay? Okay. And Dottie's our recording secretary. Any other citizen comments at this time? You can come up. If you're here live, you can come up to the mic and speak. If you're in the virtual audience, you can type in the chat box. or raise your hand, or just unmute yourself to speak. All
On here, I got something.
right. Okay. Okay, we have someone in the live audience that would like to speak. Please state your name and address for
Ray
the.
Williams, Porter Plain Road in Thompson. I'm going through the state laws about election stuff. And it says if there's a conflict between state and local law, that the state law overrides the local law or regulations. So our regulations about moving people up that are alternates when they're out of the political party, state law is wrong. I mean, town regulation is wrong, and we should be following the state regulations. Okay. It says it's right here on the state of Connecticut website. And I know everything gets interpreted by different ways, but they interpretate everything the way they want, and the people interpretate it something different. And I'm standing up for the people because the people are who voted me in. And I don't believe that the people should be moved up with them lower votes over people that had higher votes. It's not right for the people of our town that voted.
Not that we engage in back and forth, it is just citizen comments, but I will let you know that we are sending our ordinance, the bylaws over to the town attorney for review prior to Monday's meeting, so that, and the attorney will be attending the meeting on Monday as well. Okay, any other citizen comments at this time? The floor is open. Okay. Last call. And we will move on to agenda item 8, redistricting and voting districts. We have Douglas Larry. He's the elections. I'm trying to get your official title, Doug. Elections, regional election monitor. In fact, Doug was the individual who was here doing the audit those 2 days in early December. But what we're facing right now, to summarize, is that a corner of Thompson has been redistricted to Senate District 35. And there's some action that we're going to need to take as a board and as a town to put that in place. And then there's some additional thoughts that we have. But I kind of want to turn it right over to Doug Larry to explain his findings and explain the situation, because I think he can do it better than I can. Floor is all yours, Doug.
Well, thank you. I am the regional election monitor out of NECOG for the 16 towns in the northeast corner. I've visited Thompson for well over 10 years now, helping various election officials there with audits and so forth. Most recently, Thompson has had redistricting applied to its Senate seats, and you're no longer completely within Senate 29. You now have a small corner in the northwest area, roughly Quinnebog, which is going to participate in Senate 35 district, along with Woodstock and other towns to your west. This is very similar area to what you currently think of as District 3, Quinnebog. The boundaries are not completely identical, but they're very similar. Roughly 24 voters will be moved from what's currently District 3 out of it, or from the adjacent district into District 3. This primarily right around Quinnebog Road and Linehouse Road. Few changes in the census block boundaries there. This needs to be achieved by March 22nd or so. So we're tight on time. I'm helping 4 other towns with the same sort of work. And so the towns that work with me soonest and fastest will probably get the best service. Basically, we don't have much choice about accepting this new Senate district. We need to adopt a voting district that matches what the state tells us is the boundary. You have choices in how to do that. You could fiddle with the boundaries between what is currently District 3 and District 2, affecting voters in both of those areas, but not too many of them, a couple dozen, and leave Districts 1 and 4 alone. You could also choose to change the number of districts, likely to less than 4. 4 is a rather large number of districts for the number of voters you have and the number of square miles you have. And it leads to having audits more frequently than other towns. Heck, you had 2 of them recently. And I know your town well because you have audits frequently, but your audits are smaller because you have more districts. So it's a toss-up which way to go there. The immediate objective, though, is the selectmen need to approve any change in voting district. And that's why I'm here tonight, to help answer any questions you might have about the process.
I mean, our voting districts are set up by ordinance currently.
Correct. So it would have to go to
Correct,
town
yeah.
meeting to adjust.
Yep,
Even a
1937,
change-
1960, and 1981.
Is the redistricting complete? Is that?
It is for the Senate and the Assembly districts. Roughly today, they were supposed to have the Supreme Court finish up the congressional districts. You know, the 5 House of
Right.
Representatives in Congress. Chances are that's not likely to change for Thompson. You're in a corner, you're deep within District 2. I'd be very surprised if somebody moved the boundary for District 2 so that it affected Thompson.
Okay, but they didn't finish up today, is that correct? And it's going, it was.
I
supposed to
have
be
not
this-
heard that they finished up.
Yeah,
you know.
I don't think they, it was supposed to finish by noon today, correct?
That is my understanding, though I have not heard that they actually did so.
Yeah.
But
And.
I don't
but
hear
you're-
first. You know, I'm pretty far down the food chain. But I don't expect it to impact you. The obvious impact is Senate District 35, cutting a northwest corner of your town in a pattern similar to what you now think of as District 3.
Yeah, for the Senate district, it creates a new district. But then,
Correct.
depending on if you're voting for the Senate, depending on the election cycle, then it's gonna get confusing. I'm voting in
Yeah,
District 3 for the Senate, but yet I'm voting for the town, and it could be a different district.
Well, do you have any offices that aren't at large?
I mean, if we looked at consolidating of the
Right.
districts, because we're at 4, if we go to 3,
Mhm.
you know, you still have that one section in Quinnebog that is affected by the Senate, but not by the local elections.
Correct.
And that could-
How many polling sites you decide to have is separate from where the district boundaries are. But you do have influence on where you want your voting district boundaries, just as you have 3 other times by ordinance. This is an opportunity, not a requirement, to influence those again.
And in conversations with the town clerk, myself, the registrars, there was heavy discussion about potentially reducing the number of polling places and possibly districts. Currently, 1 and 2 vote at the town hall and the library. Makes sense to kind of consolidate those 2 because District 1 has no location currently, having been ousted from Thompson Hill Fire Department due to parking concerns.
that's an ordinance change, correct?
It would have
Yeah.
to be an ordinance change. And it would have to go to town meeting for that. But
Right.
that seems most sensible. The most extreme would be to for everybody to vote at the library and potentially have 2 districts. Because District 3, correct me if I'm wrong, Doug, District 3, where Quinnebog is now, being in the 35th, they always have to be a separate district, correct?
Correct.
So no matter what, we'd have to have at least 2 districts. That's the most extreme. We're not sure that those folks in East Thompson would be amicable to it because they do like their polling place, I'm sure. Nobody wants to be inconvenienced, but for cost savings, is that the most sensible? Meeting in the middle is let's combine 1 and 2, keep 3 in Quinnebog because that's a separate district anyways, and keep 4 where it is. And then that would be a complete ordinance change. We have to look at the ordinance anyways because 3 is going to change, which is going to change the way the ordinance is written. So the ordinance, no matter what, has to be rewritten.
Has to be.
Has to be.
Because of that.
And roads
And it
have
makes,
changed,
it
too.
makes, how many voters in East Thompson? Like 20,
I don't get it.
I don't even think there's 2,000.
Oh, let me see. 4 is 1,302.
For 1,300 people, we staff on each election or referendum.
We have a total of 6,523 voters. Just for comparison's sake, Woodstock has 6,190 and they vote in 1 location and they have 1 district.
Putnam's only 1 district now, too.
Correct. And they vote in, they're 2 districts, I think, but they vote in 1 location.
Opposed to having 2 districts. Quinnebog has to be separate and then the library.
The
I
cost
think that,
savings.
I think the cost savings, I think the building is big enough to be able to accommodate that on one day. And I think that it's about the cost savings.
So just to give you an idea of voter turnout, the presidential elections bring the most. And at that, we're at 77% for the last 2 elections. Thompson voter turnout. Aside from the presidential, we're at 31 in 2017, 59 in 2018. 2019, we're at 34%, and then 2021 was 37% voter turnout.
For presidential elections.
The presidential election was consistent at 77%
77%.
for the last 2 elections.
But those are municipal elections, those are
The other ones were municipal elections.
but referendums,
And
which we,
we didn't get the stats on that, I don't think. So, yeah, I think this was just for municipal and then that off year Senate and, the
so
one that's coming
regardless,
up.
we would have to send this, we would have to have the ordinance rewritten and then have this come back to us.
Right, so it's our decision as far as how we want it rewritten and what road we might want to go down for voter approval. And knowing that at town meeting, it could be amended.
It could be.
It's open to the public for
could be.
discussion.
I would be in favor of having 2 districts, Quinnebog and then the library to encompass the rest. My opinion.
I would lean towards you. I was leaning towards you, but I will say that the registrars, Frank in particular, was not in favor.
One of the other things that we have to take into consideration is we've had issues in East Thompson in the past because of the facility.
Right.
Yes.
They've had water and sewer issues up there.
Yes.
And it's just because of the,
Right.
not on the,
Well, it's a lot, it's a burden to ask of the fire departments to host
So-
us.
we, without doubt, we should do our due diligence and come up with a variety, pros and cons of putting, yes, no, putting this together
Mhm.
and see how it affects everybody. One of the things I did read in here, Doug, they suggest going down the middle of a road, like Linehouse Road, or can they use, natural boundaries like a stream or something?
The census uses middle of road and other divisions, sometimes waterways, to separate the census blocks. And then the state always follows the census blocks lines when it makes assembly and congressional changes, because that's how it knows how many people are in each district. But in contrast, Thompson's ordinance listed streets. And was it one side or the other or both? But census blocks can be down the middle of a road or down the middle of a stream. Thompson has both cases going on this year.
No, the reason why I'm asking, we have a situation with the fire districts, Quinnaboggin community. And I'm going back 50 years anyway. Half a line house and is on one side, and the other side is community. And that was based on going way
Well,
back because of relatives and so forth to a fire department. And they
Yeah.
wanted to be that way.
Um,
Sometimes going by a natural boundary, you know, like the brook that's just the bottom of the hill from Linehouse is more of a natural thing. And if you put in additional households and things.
The
then
census
you-
block is going to follow that brook at about 95 on the cross street. There's a large 95-acre parcel to the east of Linehouse Road and a northwest waterway going through that. And that's the census boundary that will be following for District 3. All of Linehouse Road will be in District 3 or whatever you number that district in the future.
Well, the brook that's in question goes down through Jezersky. It probably has a half a dozen houses through there.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying just natural boundaries, it just makes more sense.
Well, I like natural boundaries because they are easy to see in the wild, whereas housing developments and road names change over time. But the census is the census, and they've lived longer than many of our towns. They got their own mind. So we're going to be living with the boundary they gave us for the census blocks, and then the state gave us the boundary of which census blocks are on which side of the state district. I made a list in a recent email of every street fragment that is affected.
And I shared that one. That was with Jezersky Road and Capitulic and Quinnebog Road. And the names of
Correct.
the.
That's where most of the excitement will be. Brickyard Road has a boundary that goes right through the middle of it, east-west, but there aren't many residents there. So that there's not a lot of impact on voters.
So what do you need from the board at this point, Doug? What do you need from our, I mean, I know that you'll be in demand. We want it the earlier, the better. What does that constitute?
What I need most from Thompson's Board of Selectmen is a sense of what direction you're going in. I can work out the execution of details with the registrars of voters. Once we know how many districts you want, we can then execute the details. But you've got to propose to yourselves and your voters how many districts you're going to have. For instance, will the new ordinance simply move the boundary between 2 and 3? Or will you have something other than similar to the 4 districts you have now? If I know what your plans are, I can help do more of the work for your registrars.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Okay.
I mean, logically, at the minimum, we combine, was it 1 and 2
Thank you.
at minimum?
I'm inclined to lean towards Suzanne's conviction.
I don't disagree with that, but I'm
Right.
just saying at a minimum, we're looking at
Right.
combining 1 and 2 and going down to 3 if that's how it plays out, but that eliminates one district.
But it always goes to the voters, and no matter what.
Exactly. So, I mean, you could almost
So-
put it to a, you could almost,
We can't give 2 options, but
why can't you?
yeah, it's too complicated. I already asked the attorney, can we give the public 2 options? And he said it's just, yeah. Doug, what would happen, let's say, if we were to move to 2 districts and then at town meeting, it got voted out and the public wanted, because we really want to meet the public's needs. And let's say that it got voted to switch to 3. How difficult would that be to change all of that? And I'd be looking at a town meeting, hopefully the end of January, beginning of February.
If we do this at the end of January, beginning of February, and a change is needed, and we have a second town meeting in, say, later February, that all still fits. Thompson
Okay.
has the luxury of, do you have to do this a second time? Because you're starting early.
Right. But the
Woodstock
town meeting
started
would
today.
potentially,
It would decide it
but
then and there.
the one town meeting, we wouldn't need a second, the one town meeting might decide. So if we move forward and propose 2 districts, but we get voted
Shot
out of
down.
that, then it would be a vote for 3 districts, because at this point, 4 just isn't reasonable. Because we're literally, we can throw
Would we
a
have to go
stone.
back to town meeting though?
I don't think we would.
With a
would
revised
we?
ordinance?
Ordinance.
Ordinance, what did I
Oh,
say?
it would
Yeah,
have to.
it would have to go
be-
back to a
oh, okay.
second town meeting.
Okay. So, all right, I
But I
stand
don't think-
corrected.
But what is the
couldn't be
time frame
altered.
for posting it? and
March
putting-
22nd.
No, that I
Oh.
saw, March 21st, but what is the
Now,
time frame
You
for?
could end up with District 1, 2, and 3. But just like what happened at Thompson Hill, there's no place to hold it, so they held it at the library.
Mhm.
Now, I think the registrars, even though it's in the ordinance, forget how they made that change. Because they lost Thompson Hill, so they put
Right.
it at the library.
They just designated a
Right.
new polling place because
Yeah.
that's their right to do that.
Right.
Correct, Doug? Doug's
You-
shaking his head, so.
But it is in the ordinances where it says each district where they vote. So actually, that ordinance has to be amended to begin with, because the polling place is
Right.
at the library. And,
Well, it designates the district, not the polling place.
yeah, but I mean, the district would be still a district. We had talked about, even if we voted out of the library as the polling
And still have
location,
3
you
districts.
still could have the 4 districts. They just go to certain tables for their
Right.
voting.
And then there is still like
Then
a
you still
shared
have to
moderator and things like that.
Still gonna be less cost effective. If you have it at the library, you might as well make it 1 district there, 1 district in Quinnipiac,
Quinnipiac,
because
because
it's
we
gonna be
have
the
to.
most cost effective.
Right. You want to,
And we definitely want to be doing what's most cost effective for the taxpayer.
so,
Let's get the registrars, the powers to be that are gonna look at all of this and put it all together. With, working with Doug and,
And put it together as.
as what? We have to make that motion. He needs a decision.
We need.
We need to make a
direction.
direction.
2 or 3? I don't think it's a vote, is it?
I think it is.
Is it a vote?
We would have to make a motion to pursue it and then revise the ordinance. I guess we wouldn't, we could just,
I think we would vote on it after the
after
ordinance
the
was
ordinance is
revised.
created.
Thoughts?
I would lean
Do we
towards
need a-
the 2.
No, I'm leaning toward the 2. I want to make sure we're doing this right.
Right.
Do we need a motion tonight or after?
Doug, do you know?
I don't think we need a
I don't
motion
think we
tonight.
need
I
a
think we
motion
just need
until
a
it's actually
consensus.
created.
Yeah,
So then that's putting it on the registrars and Doug and to help us create these 2 districts.
and the ordinance.
And the ordinance, we could send to the ordinance review
It
committee
has to go to yeah. So we,
to construct.
I'm leaning toward just 2.
I'm 2.
yeah, I mean, we can amend it from there if
If
there's
we have to.
pushback.
Absolutely. There's time. And there's time, as long as we're quick with getting the town meeting.
Right, as
Good.
long as you move ahead at a steady pace, you're on target, even if
And
you
we
have
will.
1 setback.
Yep.
Yep.
So we'll have room to have the extra meeting, so move forward with that work. And if you need anything else from us or me, let me know.
Sure. Eventually, you're going to need some wording for the ordinance. And I
Right.
caution you, last time it was very street oriented.
Right.
And this time, you're not declaring the boundaries necessarily where you want them. For at least the district boundary for 2 and 3, you've got to reference the state's definitions, not familiar street names. So for
Okay.
instance, it needs to follow the census blocks, because if a new property is built deeper east of Linehouse Road, it might still be in the district, even though it's not on a particular named road. So as your properties develop or split, they'll already be in particular census blocks.
So we might need your assistance with that.
Well, I'd recommend that we think carefully about how we define the boundaries, particularly between Senate 35 and the rest of town, because that has to match the state's requirement.
Oh, okay.
And
That might
they're
make
not
it
going by streets necessarily.
Got it. Which would in essence make the two districts. That would simplify things. If we only have to worry about defining what's District 3 now,
I think once we finalize the
District 3,
districts,
yeah,
then the language for the ordinance. Will be fairly-
okay.
Sure.
All right.
And I can help your town attorney or yourselves or your staff and clerks. I'm available to you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Doug. I appreciate it. We'll be in touch.
Okay, sure.
Probably a lot in the next month or two.
That's good because the towns that are in touch with me first will get the most of me.
All right.
Doug, how many towns in the state were affected by this change?
Roughly a sixth of the towns. So, some more
How
than
many-
others.
How many in
Some-
NECOG's area?
Oh, in
Wasn't it
NECOG, 10 out of 16 towns in NECOG had some impact, but 5 of them was really easy. They went from all in one district to all in another district.
Okay.
5 towns though, Brooklyn, Killingly, Thompson, Woodstock, they've had new districts created. And so they have troubles similar to your own. And those are the 5 that are going to take my time.
Okay. Very good. Any other questions, Doug?
I'm all set.
All right, thank you so
Thanks,
much
Doug.
for zooming in. I appreciate it.
Why, sure.
All right, thank you. Good night. Merry Christmas. All right. All right. We move on to other business. Is there any other business to bring before the board tonight? Okay. We're back to citizen comments. Once again, the floor is open for citizen comments. Then item 10. Okay.
I'll just try to speak loud enough if you don't mind.
Okay. Dottie, can you hear Steve? It's Steve Herbert.
Wilsonville Road.
Yes, I can hear Steve a little bit.
Thank you. I'll try to speak up. First of all, I never knew where Santa worked for the other parts of the year.
Bill.
A few years ago, I did some analysis of this issue, and at the time, my memory served me correctly, and it may not. Each election for each district cost about $800 for both. And that was referendums, the elections, the primaries, if there's a primary. So each time we do that, it's roughly, again, between $800 and $900, and given a little bit of inflation, a couple of wage increases we've had in the state, probably $1,000. Every year we do, it varies a lot, but we've had 5 referendums plus an election. Some years, 6 times we run the poll. Other times it's just a couple. Maybe on average we do more elections. Let's say $3,500, $1,000 from a district. And that for every district you can eliminate, you save about $3,500 a year, $35,000 over 10 years. So it makes a lot of sense to try to consolidate. Not a huge amount in scope of our total budget, but it helps. So I would urge you to think about consolidating it to the 2 districts as, and just for financial reasons, nothing else. Also, if I recall, library or the activity center we have was actually, I believe, designed. I've heard that it was actually designed to handle the voting for the entire town.
Yes.
Okay, probably better than I, but I've heard that as well. It's designed to be able to accommodate. For every, just a couple thoughts about why it makes sense.
Thank you, Steve. Citizen comments. The floor is still open for citizen comments. All right, hearing and seeing none, we will move on to tax refunds. I make a motion that we refund ACAR Leasing LTD $288.42 and CCAP Auto Lease LTD $43.19 for a total of $331.61 in tax refunds.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of refunding these tax dollars, say aye. Aye, and that motion passes. Right, make a motion that we adjourn at 8:06 PM.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and that motion passes. Good night, everybody. Merry Christmas. Have a safe holiday. We'll see you in the new year.
Okay, next year. See you then.